elementary science teacher for 5 years, a National Science Quest national winner from 2018 to 2020. He is also a regional trainer for teachers in critical content in Science 4. He is also a division demonstration teacher in Science 5. Let us all welcome this morning our speaker, Mr. Neil Kenneth E. Agda. Palakpakan po natin ang ating guest speaker for this morning. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Hello, sir.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Morning po.
And thank you for being with us this morning po, sir. Yes.
Mag-start na po tayo, Sir Ian.
Yes. But wait lang. Sige, before we start po, no, I'm sorry, live na live tayo. May I just ask someone from our participants to lead the prayer? Sige po, anyone who is willing to lead the prayer? Any volunteer? Anyone from the participants po?
Hello.
Yes po. Good morning, Ma'am Senaida. Thank you po.
Okay po. Let us bow our head for a short prayer. Aming naman Diyos na makapangyarihan sa lahat. O God, salamat po sa panibagong buhay, kalakasan. Salamat sa biyaya ng kaligtasan na patuloy namin nararanasan sa iyo. Sa oras na ito, Panginoon, dinadalangin po namin, Lord God, ang aming speaker, si Sir Neil Agda. Pagkalooban mo po siya ng karunungang nagmumula sa iyo. At sa bawat participant, Panginoon, bigyan po kami ng bukas na puso, isipan na matanggap namin, ma-embrace namin, Lord God, kung anumang karunungan na ipagkakaloob mo, Lord God. Ito po yung isang kapaki-pakinabang sa aming profesyon at sa mga batang ipinagkatiwala mo sa amin. Tulungan mo po kami, Panginoon, na ma-embrace ang bagong sitwasyon ng buhay ng mga guro sa new normal dahil sa pandemic na ito. Ingatan mo po ang bawat pamilya namin. Cover us, O God, with the precious blood of Jesus. Salamat po, Ama. Ito po ang aming samot dalangin sa pangalan ni Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Hello po. Thank you so much, Ma'am Senaida Pangilinan. And just to mention, no, and welcome din po nating lahat. Joining us this morning is our very hands-on, very masipag, hardworking EPS in Science, Mr. Russell Samson. Good morning, sir. Good morning po. Yan, so nandyan lang si sir joining us. Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning po, dear teachers. And also, good morning, Sir Neil. So again, thank you for accepting our invitation to be our resource speaker for grade 5. So alam ko na maraming matututunan ang mga science teachers ng Nabotas kay Sir Neil. So handa na po ba tayo, dear teachers, na makinig kay Sir Neil? Handa na po ba tayo? Sige po.
Ready na. Yes, sir. Good morning po. Thank you. Yan, handang-handa na raw sila, sir. Good morning daw po from our teachers. And again, to discuss about developing basic science process skills, or SPS, utilizing home-based activities for grade 5 students, let us all welcome and send a virtual clap to our speaker from SDO Manila, Mr. Neil Kenneth Agda.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir Ian?
Yes, sir. Good morning po.
Hindi ko po sure kung nakikita yung screen ko po.
Nakalagay lang po sir sa screen po namin is you're presenting to everyone.
Oh.
Ayan sir, yes.
Okay. Okay na, sir. Nakikita na po. Hello, sir.
Hello sir, yes,
Okay.
malinaw na po.
Okay. So, inaayos ko lang, Sir Ian, kasi medyo nagkakaproblema yata sa net connection. Nasa school po kasi ako ngayon. Stay in kami eh. Okay, so good morning po. Hello, Sir Ian.
Hello sir, good morning po.
Ayun, hindi ko alam kung naririnig niyo ba ako or kung
Apo,
malinaw po ba.
malinaw sir. Apo.
So, tuloy-tuloy lang naman po tayo.
Yes sir.
Okay, so good morning po sa lahat. This is Sir Neil Kenneth Agda from SDO Manila. So good morning from Manila to Navotas. Sir Russell, thank you po for the invitation. Okay, so let us start this morning session with this quotation by Sir Robert John Meehan that says, "Great teachers are those teachers that learn from their pupils, that learn with their pupils, and learn for their pupils." So the mere fact that everyone is with us right now attending this webinar series conducted by the SDO Nabotas is an enough fact that all of you, all of us are great teachers. So let me rephrase my good morning and make it good morning, great teachers. So good morning po ulit. Okay, so for this morning, our outline of presentation is the introduction of the curriculum, followed by the session objectives, the spiraling of concepts, the discussion for each topic, and the discussion for each topic. Okay, so let us start with the standards for grade 5 chemistry matter. So for the content, in first quarter, we have the properties of material, followed by the changes that materials undergo. For the content standards, we have the learners should be able to demonstrate understanding of the following. First, properties of materials to determine whether they are useful or harmful. Second is materials undergo changes due to oxygen and heat. For the performance standards, learners should be able to use local, recyclable, solid, or liquid materials in making useful products. Okay, so these are those content standards and performance standards that grade 5 pupils should be able to meet at the end of the school year. Now, let us first discuss the process of identifying the MELC or the what we so-called most is essential learning competencies. So these essential learning competencies are generated from the existing curriculum guide. So, lahat naman ito nanggaling na ituturo na natin kasi nasa curriculum guide siya. Now, from the existing competencies, they extracted some essential learning competencies. And from those essential learning competencies, kinuha naman nila ngayon yung most essential learning competencies. So, bakit po ba sa tingin natin generate natin yung kinakailangan ng learning competency. Now, I believe that ginawa to ng DepEd because we started too late na. Kukulangin tayo ng oras to discuss all those competencies that we have in the curriculum kung i-deliver natin siya in the third week of August. So that is what I think the main reason kung bakit kinuha na lang natin yung mga pinaka-importante talagang competencies in the curriculum. Okay, So this is the final or the updated MELC released last, I think it's June 15 or May 28. Okay, now look at these two tables that you have in your screen. Now the table on the left shows us the total number of competencies that we have in science curriculum. Now, while the table on the right shows us the stream learning competencies that we now have in the what we so-called MELC. Now, look at the total number of competencies that we have in the curriculum guide. So we have a total of 284 learning competencies. Now, from the stream competencies, we only have now 187 competencies. So they reduce it by not more than 40%. From 284, it became 187. And let us give emphasis to the competencies that we have in grade 5. So in grade 5, we have a total of 31 competencies dun sa original competencies. While sa MELC or dun sa most essential learning competencies, we only now have 21 competencies. So, nabawasan tayo ng 10 competencies. And if you're going to break down kung saan yung competencies na itinanggal, you will notice na nagbawas tayo ng one competency sa first quarter, two competencies in the second quarter, three competencies in the third quarter, and four competencies on the fourth quarter. Okay, so these are just the important notes. Although nagbawas tayo ng competencies from the existing curriculum guide, but the key stage and grade level standards are still retained. Ibig sabihin, we are still ensuring the proficiency that the pupils or the learners could be able to demonstrate at the end of the school year on that level. Now, it is not a departure from the K-12 basic education science curriculum. It retains the same visions of developing scientific, technological, and environmental literacy. So then again, let us give emphasis na although nagbawas tayo ng learning competency, that does not mean na bumaba din yung proficiency level that this curriculum could provide. And the learning competencies were trimmed down to the most essential. So kung sa ano lang yung pinaka-kinakailangan natin, especially in this situation. Okay, so how to use the MELCs? MELCs are the same learning competencies, only trimmed down. Again, same curriculum po ito, same learning competencies, nagbawas lang po tayo. Now, broad statements and needs to be unpacked. Okay, so ibig sabihin, hindi yung competencies lang na nakikita natin sa MELC yung ituturo natin. Because those are broad statements of the competencies. So we still need to look at the LAMP kung saan yung in-unpack natin yung competencies. Use for this school year and performance standard. Now, this one is what from the existing learning competencies because it would be difficult for Av in the existing learning competencies in different modalities. So, pwedeng iba yung modalities na gagamitin. This MELC or the the time allocation more flexible. Okay, so here are the contents ng learning competencies. And I also included those competencies that they trimmed down. Ibig sabihin, those competencies na naka-color red on the right are the competencies that they removed in the existing curriculum. Learning competencies, sorry. Okay, so for the first quarter, they only removed one competency, and that is to recognize the importance of recycle, reduce, reuse, recover, and repair in waste material. So these are the 5 R's. Next, for the second quarter, one of the competencies that they removed is to describe the changes during puberty and give ways of taking care of the reproductive organs. So two competencies are trimmed down for the second quarter. Now, look at the third quarter. Sa third quarter, they removed 3 learning competencies. And those competencies are the learner should be able to use appropriate measuring tools and correct standard units. Next is the learner should be able to infer how black and colored objects affect the ability to absorb heat. And the third one is the learner should be able to infer that electricity can be used to produce magnets. And for the fourth quarter, they remove five learning competencies. So these competencies are to communicate the data collected from the investigation of soil erosion. Next is observe the changes in the weather before, during, and after the typhoon. Third is describe the effects of typhoon on the community. Fourth is describe the effects of the wind given in a certain storm warning signal. And last is to relate the cyclical pattern to the length of a month. Okay, so those are the learning competencies na tinanggal natin from the original learning competencies that we have or that does exist sa grade 5 curriculum. So for the session objectives, at the end of the session, the teachers will be able to teach the grade 5 competency. Specifically, the teachers will be able to first explain the content of the curriculum, exhibit the pedagogical approaches applicable in the teaching the subject, and last is to identify appropriate assessment that is suited to the subject content. So these are the objectives that we are trying to achieve at the end of this session. Now, for the spiraling of concept, now these are the concepts that we have from grades 3 to grade 6. Now, the reason kung bakit ko siya gustong ipakita sa inyo is for you to be able to know that the mastery of one competency from one level to another is important. Bakit? Because some competencies that we have doon sa ibang grade level has a prerequisite from the previous grade level. So without the mastery of the learning competency in the lower level would be difficult para kay teacher to deliver the learning competency on his or her grade level. Now, these are the spiraling of concept under the properties of materials. And this one are the concepts under changes that matter undergo. Hello, Sir Ian.
Yeah, hello sir. Yes.
Malinaw naman po.
Opo. Yes sir, opo.
Wala po ba tayong difficulty?
Medyo kanina po, medyo lang po, konting-konti, minimal lang, pero
Minimal.
opo,
Okay.
naging malinaw naman po.
Oo, hindi ako sanay kasi na walang interaction. Opo. Sige, continue tayo, sir.
Yes sir.
Okay. So, another quotation from Sir Jules Henry which says that science is built up with facts, as a house is with stones, but a collection of facts is more a science than a heap of stones in a house. So this quotation by Sir Jules Henry states that science is more of an accumulation of knowledge, and each amount of knowledge gained is one more building blocks in the individual stack of facts. And each building blocks allows us to move forward step by step, inch by inch, piece by piece, we advance. That is why we science teachers should not stop gaining the block of knowledge that is necessary for us to be able to deliver the quality education that the department is promising our nation. Okay, so before we proceed with the discussion of the topics, I have here 5 questions, I think, that I would ask every participant to answer. Paano kaya, Sir Ian? Through the comment section na lang po siguro.
Yes, sir, I guess. Okay po,
Okay,
participants. Paki-ready po ang ating keyboard.
keyboard.
Go, sir.
Okay, so sa comment section na lang, siguro doon na lang yung responses nyo or yung answers nyo in every question. Then yung common question na ibibigay ng participants, sasabihin na lang ni Sir Ian sa atin. And let's find out if your responses are correct. Okay po tayo, Sir Ian?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so first question, we have, which unit would best measure the distance between Manila and Navotas? A, meter, B, kilogram, C, centimeter, or D, kilometer? Okay, so I think I will be
All
giving
right.
time to...
The first one to answer, sir, is Ma'am Ana Maria Luzon. And her answer is letter D. And I think all of majority, no, answered letter D. May
Okay,
B,
so
yeah.
majority of the teachers answered letter D. So let's find out. Okay, so the correct answer is letter D. So mukhang hindi na natin kailangan mag-webinar.
Yay!
Okay, for the second question, which of the following could be observed with the sense of sight? A, the temperature of the hot air. B, the change in heights of plants. C, the sweetness of a new chemical. Or D, the sound made by an engine. Again, could be observed with a sense of sight. Ano kaya ang sagot nila, Sir Ian?
Ayan. So dahil minention ko yung the first one to answer, nagsagot sila agad kanina, sir. So,
nagkakabilito na sila.
yan. So Miss Madin Pangyarihan, letter B, answered letter B, and lahat po, sir, no, answered letter B. Yes.
Okay, so let's find out. So the correct answer is letter B. Next, for the third question, which of the following is not a characteristic of an orange? A, it is round. B, it is juicy. C, it is red. Or letter D, it can be peeled.
Ang bibilis. Sir Anil, ang bibilis nila. Okay. Yes, mukhang inaabangan talaga nila, no? So, majority of the answers po on that question is letter C.
Letter C, it is red. Okay, so the correct answer is letter C. So, magkakaroon tayo ng deal, Sir Ian, ha? Kapag na-perfect nila yung 5 questions, tapos na yung seminar. Hindi na nila kailangan. Okay, magagaling na yung teacher ng Napotas. Okay, now for the fourth question, I have your table, some information about students in Aguinaldo Elementary. And the question for this is, which of the following categories would not allow you to separate these pupils to at least 2 different groups? Again, which of the following categories would not allow you to separate these pupils to at least 2 different groups? A, gender, male and female. B, year of birth. C, year entered school. Or D, religion.
All right. So, yes. Wala bang magmamali? Hindi, joke lang po. So, majority of the answer, sir, is letter C.
Is letter C. Okay, so answer is letter C. Okay, isa na lang. Wala na tayong webinar, Sir Ian. Number 5. During the night, Steve was awakened by a thunderstorm. Walking to school the next day, he saw a large tree blocking the street. Now, the best inference that he could give is that the tree was A. Hit by a car, B. Bombed by an airplane, C. Destroyed by a fire, or D. Knocked down by a storm.
All right. So I think that concludes our webinar for this. Medyo ko lang po, sir. The majority of the answer is letter D.
Okay, so
Yes.
letter D. Okay, so that is the correct answer. So, stop sharing na tayo, sir. End na ng webinar. Okay. So, thank you, Nabotas teachers, for your responses. Now, if you can notice or will notice that those questions that I presented to you are questions that is related to the science process skills or the SPS. So, that will be one of our topic or objectives in this session this morning, along with the utilizing home-based activities. So, as much as I could, magbibigay ako ng some activities that might help you in delivering the contents integrated with the science process skills. Okay, so developing basic science process skills. So, what is science process skills? So, pag sinabi natin science process skills, it is a process skills approach to science instruction that means that learning is focused more on intellectual side or skills rather than on content. But let us remember, or however, that content will never be excluded from this approach process. From this approach, for process skills are practice to deal with the content. Ibig po nating sabihin doon na these process skills are necessary. Ibig sabihin, kinakailangan sila. Para saan po? Kinakailangan sila to deliver the science content. Okay, so why is this process skills necessary? So always remember that in science, books are just references. Science teachers should always focus and give more emphasis on hands-on activities with concrete uh, materials. Why concrete materials? That is for our learners to discover and fully digest the concepts that we are trying to deliver. Now, pupils that are skilled with these science process skills will be able to conduct investigation with the minimal uh, guidance of the teacher. Ibig sabihin, uh, pupils or yung mga learners natin that has a mastery of these science process skills would or could easily grasp the concept or the different concepts that we have in science. Kasi one of the major problem in science is nagkakandak tayo ng investigation agad-agad. Nagkakandak tayo ng activities agad-agad. But did we ask ourselves kung alam ba ng mga bata yung gagawin? Kasi one of the major dilemma, nagbigay ka ng activity, hindi nila alam yung gagawin. So, babalik din sa'yo yung worksheets nang wala ring sagot. So, the first thing that we need to do as a science teacher is to discuss and have them master these basic science process skills first before delivering science concept. Okay, now in this morning, we will be discussing more about different science process skills such as observing, measuring, communicating, predicting, and inferring. And I will try to provide you uh, some activities that could help you and the learners master each process skills. Okay, so let's start with the very first process skill, which is observing. Now, all of us science teachers have the desire to explore and understand the world around us. That is why sabi nila, science always starts with curiosity. And that is who we are, science teachers. Sabi nga ni Ma'am Grace kahapon, di po ba, na science teachers are teacher scientists. So we should always be curious and have that desire to explore and understand the world around us. And because of that, there is always a search for knowledge based on both experimentation and observation. Again, experimentation and observation. So when we say observing, observations are sometimes made directly with human senses. Human senses, they are those sense of sight, sense of hearing, sense of smell, sense of touch, and sense of taste. Now, I give emphasis on sometimes. Bakit? Later we'll find out. Now, there are two basic types of observation. Ibig sabihin, meron daw po tayong dalawang klase ng observation. And what are those observations? First kind or type of observation is qualitative observation. Next is quantitative observation. So how are these two types of observation differ from one another? So when we say qualitative observation, this is a kind or type of observation that does describe. In Tagalog, ito yung klase ng observation na naglalarawan. While on the contrary, quantitative observation is a kind of observation that measures. Again, that measures. Ibig sabihin, this kind of observation gives us more accurate data or accurate observation. That is why we often use this kind of observation for us to give an accuracy or simply to be more precise in making an observation. Okay, next to observation is communicating. Now, as implied already, communication always go hand in hand with observation. So, communicating, it is important to be able to share our experiences. This can be done with graphs, diagram, and maps. Now, this skill is necessary for our pupils need to communicate in order to share their observation with another pupils or learner. And that communication must be clear and effective for the other learner or person to understand the information or the observation. Now, what is the usual problem na meron tayo in elementary science in terms of this process skill? Now, I believe na isa sa mga major problem that we have in elementary science is the medium or the English language. Yung mga bata kasi sa elementary, since ang transition natin ng language starts at grade 3, parang masyado na siyang late. And they are having a difficulty to communicate their thoughts. Hindi nila masabi yung gusto nilang sabihin, hindi nila masabi yung gusto nilang iparating because of the barrier in language. Especially kung sa provinces pa to. Kasi in Manila, ang English language is their L2 or language 2. What more kung sa provinces pa na meron silang tinatawag na L3 or the mother tongue. But as a science teacher, we should also find ways on how we can deal with this usual problem that we have in terms of the medium or the language. Now, I usually use this or the what we so-called frames in teaching science. Now, pag sinabi nating frames, they are a form of outline that provides the writer or the students a pre-established sequence. Ibig sabihin, magbibigay ka na ng opening words or sentences or phrases na ikukumpletuhin na lang ng bata. So using the frames, meron na silang susundan. And through this kind of approach or strategy, they would be able to express their thoughts or to communicate their observations. And this is one of the solutions that I think best uh, solve the problem that we have in terms of the medium or the English language. Okay, so next is measuring. So measuring using both standard and non-standard measures or estimates to describe the dimension of an object or event. Pinagsama-sama ko na po yung tatlo because I will be providing an activities that would serve those three process skills already. Okay, so we have this activity number 1. Okay, so for the materials, we have one piece of wrapped candy. This is an activity under observing and active engagement before the task. Now, these are the things that teachers needs to do before letting the pupils conduct the activity. Okay, actively engage pupils' mind in preparation for the process skills activity by asking the following questions. Now, these are just sample questions, teachers, and pwede nyo siyang i-rephrase based sa level ng bata nyo. Okay, so which of your 5 senses would you least like to live without? Why? So, meron tayong why para sa higher order thinking skills or HOTS. Next is, does your sense of smell enhance the experience of eating? Explain your answer. Okay, through this, dun sa explain your answer, we are allowing also them to communicate their thoughts or to communicate their observations. Okay, next is, do you think you would enjoy your favorite food as much if you were unable to see it? Why or why not? So those are just an engagement before conducting the task. For the process skills activity, pupils will work individually on this activity. Next is, have your pupils close their eyes and place an open hand, palm up, on their desk. Next is, place a piece of candy in each pupil's hand. Remind pupils to keep their eyes closed. Pupils should focus only on the sense of touch. Now, when exploration is completed, direct pupils to open their eyes, invite them to explore independently, and record their observations for the other senses. You may wish to share their descriptive paragraph with the class. Okay, so this is how, sorry, the worksheet looks like. So part 1. So in part 1, they will write their observation through their using their different senses. Now, sa part 2, they will be writing a paragraph describing the object to their friend and do not mention the name of what you are describing. Okay, so teachers, now looking at this activity under observing, what kind of observation do you think this is? Ano yung klase ng observation na tina-target natin in this activity? Sir Ian, meron po kayong sumasagot?
Alright, sige po. Just send your answers sa ating comment section sa chat box. Sir,
Okay,
pwede pong
again,
pa-repeat
kanina
po
we
yung
discussed,
question.
okay. Now, a while ago, diniscuss natin that there are 2 types of observation, the qualitative and the quantitative observation. Now, looking at this activity, what do you think is the type of observation that we are trying to deal with? Ano yung tina-target natin na klase ng observation in this activity?
Alright, thank you, sir. So, sige po, teachers, keep your answers coming in our chat box. Yan, sir, marami na po tayong na-receive na sagot and majority of the answers po are qualitative.
Oh. Okay, so thank you, teacher. So, Exactly. So in this activity, uh, your pupils or our pupils will make a qualitative observation of a piece of candy using their five senses. So they will write a descriptive paragraph of the item they have observed without mentioning its name. Now, another good thing about this kind of activity or using this activity is you are allowing your pupils to write their thoughts or communicate their observations already. Okay. For always remember that thoughtful observation communicates. Okay, for the second activity, materials, we have meter stick, metric ruler, notebook, tape, book, and scissors. Now, active engagement before the task. Actively engage pupils' mind in preparation for the process skill activity by asking the following question. First question, what situation or profession can you think of in which it is important to be extremely accurate in measurement of distance? Next is explain the wisdom of the Hello, Sir Ian.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Opo.
Hello, hello. Yeah. So again po, no, may I remind everyone to please turn your mic po sa mute. Please paki-mute po ang ating mga microphones.
Ano ba yun? Hindi ko alam.
Thank you po.
Okay. So for the second question, explain the wisdom of the carpenter's motto, measure twice, cut once.
Ayan. Iyon. Thank you
Okay,
po.
thank you po. Thank you, Sir Ian. Okay, so those are the questions that you may ask to engage the learners before conducting the task. Now, for the process skill activity, have pupils work in groups to complete the worksheet. However, encourage them to come up with answers individually before comparing them with the rest of the group. Okay, so for the worksheet, this is how the worksheet looks like. Number one, measure the length of the line below in centimeter and millimeter. Number two, cut a piece of notebook paper that measures 50 millimeter wide and 250 millimeter long. Then cut a piece of notebook paper that is 25 centimeter long and 5 centimeter wide. Find the area of the rectangle constructed in step 2. Number 4, cut a square of a notebook paper that is 4.5 centimeter on each side. Number 5, measure the length, the width, and the thickness of a book. Choose the best unit. We have the unit of length, the width, the length, the width, and the height. Next, number 6, measure the length, the width, and the height of a desk or table in the room. Next is measure the perimeter of the sheet of paper. And last number is draw 98 millimeter line in the space below. Okay, now this second activity, now what do you think is the type of observation that we are trying to target? Ano naman po sa tingin nyo, kung kanina we are trying to target the qualitative kind of observation, in this second activity, ano po sa tingin nyo naman yung tinatarget nating klase ng observation?
Alright. Ayan, sir. Ang dami pong nega-answer sa ating chat. Looks like napaka-attentive po ng ating mga participants. And their answer is quantitative, sir.
Okay, so correct po. So in this activity, tinatarget naman natin is quantitative activity observation. Kasi, as you can see, meron na tayong mga accurate measurements or meron na tayong measurements that will give us an accurate observation. So, in this activity, our pupils will practice making a careful quantitative observation. So, aside from length, aside from measurement of length, we could also make an activity that measures the volume, the mass, and the temperature. So these are just examples of measurement po. You may still make your own gamit po yung give an example. Okay, materials, candle, balance, active engagement before the task, engagement when a candle has a weight. Why or why not? How could you find out? Next is, what do you think happens to the wax on Dripple's candle? Last is, if wax drips down the side of a burning candle, do you think the weight of a candle will change after a minute? If so, what would be the change? What would be the change be? For the process skills, have your pupils work in a group on this activity. Remind them to be as accurate as possible when making a quantitative observation and use caution when lighting and disposing matches. Again, teachers, meron tayong involvement ng apoy dito in this kind of activity, and there must be some precautions bago tayo mag-conduct ng ganito activity. Okay. Next, quantitative and quantitative observation class. Okay, so first, and you have the quantitative observation. So, yung third question ko sana is, anong klase na to ng observation or type ng observation? Kaya lang very obvious na. Pero ano po sa tingin nyo? Sir Ian?
Yes. All right. So,
You're trying to target now what type of observation?
based po from Ma'am Ana Maria Luzon, the answer is both, sir.
Okay, so the answer is both. So in the third activity, we are now trying to target both type of observation, which are the qualitative observation and the quantitative observation. Okay, so kung mapapansin nyo yung progress ng activity natin, hinihimay-himay natin yung concept of observations. Bakit po sa tingin nyo? Sa Ian?
Yes. Again po, no, bakit kaya daw natin kailangan po himay-himayin, no, yung type of observations na gagamitin po natin? Actually, sir, no, if you may allow, no,
Yes,
meron
sir.
po tayong tanong kanina na kung
Opo.
pwede po bang pagsabayin ang activity ng qualitative at ng quantitative. And yun na nga po, mukhang nasagot na po siya nitong example na to.
Yes po, opo, pwede po siyang pagsamahin. Kaya lang, we should conduct this one step at a time. Kasi again, what we are trying to target is the mastery of the concept under these process skills. Yun yung gusto kasi natin na makuha ng bata. For again, these process skills are necessary for them to have master also science concepts. So kaya nga, kung nakikita niyo po sana yung progress ng activity natin, nagsimula lang tayo sa first concept. So first type lang ng observation, which is the qualitative observation. Now, if they already have the mastery of that type of observation, you may proceed with the second type of observation, which is the quantitative observation. Kung sa tingin nyo naman, okay na sila in both type, pwede na kayo ngayon mag-conduct ng activity with or using both types of observation.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And one of the answers po sa inyong tanong kanina po is for mastery of the process skills.
Okay, very good. So yun naman talaga yung goal natin. Okay. So, kung mapapansin nyo din, kaya pinagsama-sama ko na yung tatlong process skills which are observing, communicating, and measuring is because dun sa activities that I already provided, na-target na natin yung tatlong process skills. Pero you may also conduct activities in each process skills. Nakadepende naman po siguro sa atin. May question po ba, Sir Ian?
Ayan. So far, sir, wala naman po.
Okay, sir. Okay. So for the fourth process skills, we have inferring. Okay. So inferring is an explanations we use to depict events that we are already experiencing. Okay, so unlike observations, inferring unlike observations, which are direct evidences gathered about an object, inferences are explanation that follows from the observation. Now, the only rule in inferring is to be logical. So, pag sinabi natin to be logical, we should always have that question in our mind na, does this make sense because of what I already know? Kasi, then again, inferences are based on our prior experiences or yung mga na-encounter na natin. Next, inferences are always tentative. So why did we say that inferences are always tentative? Now, inferences are based on observations that are simply explanations of observation. But they are not final explanations. Bakit po sila hindi final explanations? Because inferences may often change when new observations are made. Ibig sabihin, inferences are based on observation but may still be changed or can still be changed after another observation. Okay, so next process skill is predicting. So predicting is an educated guess based on good observation and inferences about an observed event or prior knowledge. So pag sinabi natin predicting, it is more of forecasting the future events. Able for us to understand predicting, it is important to remember that science is based on several assumptions about the natural world, and prediction are based on past observations or available data. Now, the amount of available data and the accuracy of the data can have a profound effect on the accuracy of the prediction. Ibig sabihin, if those data na meron tayo from the observations that we can prior conduct has no accuracy, the predictions that you may produce will also have no accuracy. So, ganun lang or ganun yung relationship between the predicting and observation. Now, the assumptions that the world behaves in orderly manner helps us use available and accurate data to forecast the future events. Okay, so here are some activities that we have under inferring. So, materials, we have worksheets. Okay, active engagement before the task. Again, questions that you may ask. First is, you observe a sad-looking classmate of yours leaving the principal's office. Now, what is your inference? Okay, next is, you see several people leaving a movie theater, red-eyed, and blowing their nose. What is your inference? Next, show pupils an appropriate illustration from a magazine and have pupils look at the first illustration and ask them their inferences. Okay, so for the process skill activity, have your pupils complete the written observations or inferences first, then invite pupils to make inferences based upon the pictures. And last, have groups come to consensus and share them with the class. Okay, so this is how the worksheets will look like. First is, on the first part of the worksheet, given are the observation. And you will then ask your pupils to give their inferences. So observation number one, you observe that the sky at the noon is darkening. So what could be your inference? Number two, the classroom lights are off. Inference. An ambulance siren is heard going past the school. You leave a movie theater and see that the street is wet. Okay, so again, ang gulang natin on the first part of the worksheet is to gather the inferences of your learners based on the given observation. But then, you may also use this kind of strategy or assessment. You will be giving your pupils or showing them illustrations wherein they will be the one to provide their own observation and their own inferences. So look at these examples that we have. Okay. Sir Igan, may tanong po kaya?
Sir, so far, wala naman po tayong tanong sa chat box.
Okay. So again, balikan lang po natin. You may use this kind of activity wherein ikaw yung magbibigay ng observation and only ask them for their inferences, or this activity kung saan you will be the one to give them a situation, provide their own observation and their own inferences. Okay, so last is classifying. Now, classifying is a grouping or ordering of objects or events into categories based on properties or criteria. Okay, so classifying, now these skills expect learners in early grades to be able to sort objects or events into groups based on their observation. So sorting those events or objects could be best or imposed order based on the similarities and differences of objects and events. Okay, so again, the reason why we are discussing these basic science process skills is because these are skills that are necessary para yung bata can easily grasp the concept in science. So these process skills are always integrated with activities that we make and use in our classroom. So here are some activities that I may provide under different competencies that we have in first quarter ng grade 5. Okay, so the first competency is useful and harmful material. Now we have the subjectives to use the properties of material, whether they are useful or harmful, classify materials found in the environment according to use in personal body care products, cleaning agents and medicines, identify the properties of materials that determine their uses and harmful effects. So these will be the objectives of the first activity under useful and harmful materials. Okay, now for the problems, we have this, what are the different materials found at home? What are the uses of different materials at home? And what are the properties of materials that determine their uses and harmful effects? Again, these are those problems that they need to answer or come up with an answer in this activity. So the materials, empty packages of soap, toothpaste, medicines, body powder, antiseptics, whitening agents, shampoo, and lotion. Again, in making this kind of activity, lagi daw dapat natin ina-apply yung inlocon or what they so-called indigenization, localization, and contextualization. So, these materials, you may also change this and come up with those materials that your learners are familiar with. Bakit po? Kasi since they have experiences or knowledge about those materials, they could be easily identify them or easily familiarize themselves with those materials. Okay, so this is an illustration wherein these are those materials that they will identify and find out if they are, sorry, okay, identify and classify them according to their uses. So procedure, classify materials according to their uses such as personal body care products, cleaning agents, and medicine. So here is a table kung saan ilalagay nila or ika-classify nila or isosort nila those materials that we have illustrated according to their uses. So what are those uses? So we have the personal body care, the cleaning agents, and the medicines. Okay, so after classifying those materials, here are the guide questions that they need to answer. So first is, what material do we use for personal body care? Next is, what materials do we use as a cleaning agents? And what materials do we use as a medicine? So where will they get these answers in these guide questions? So they will come up with an answer sa guide questions from the data that they have gathered in these boxes. So through classifying them, they can easily identify now which objects or materials are for personal body care, for cleaning agents, and our medicines. Okay, for setup letter B, here are some illustrations and pictures of different materials, uh, categorized according to the materials used. So, procedure, look at the pictures of the materials above, write at least 3 words that describe the materials, answer the guide questions. So again, these are the materials that are categorized or classified according to where they are made. If they are made of glass, metal, wood, rubber, and fabric. Now, in this activity, they need to come up with the different words that will describe those materials. Like, for example, glass, brittle, metal, sturdy, those examples. Now, for the guide question, what materials allow heat to pass through? What materials can absorb water? What materials are hard or soft? And what materials can be stretched? Last is, what materials can absorb heat easily? Now, through these descriptions that they may provide, they may easily identify those materials that are being described in each question. And for the conclusion, again, framing tayo, you will be the one to provide a phrase na dudugtungan na lang nila for them to easily communicate their observations or thoughts. Now, for setup number 1, I therefore conclude that, for setup letter B, sorry, I therefore conclude that. Okay, and for the application, setup A, how are you going to store some cleaning agents like muriatic acid and disinfectant? Setup B, what do you call materials that do not absorb water? Number 2, why do we use casserole, pan, and pot made of metal in cooking our food? And 3, why do we need to take extra care in handling materials made of glass? So these may be the applications that you may use under this topic. Next, for the changes that materials undergo, you have the objectives: investigate changes that takes place under the following conditions: presence or lack of oxygen in air and in applying heat. Next is describe different changes brought by nature, global warming, pollution, etc. Humans and other living organisms, kaingin system, incineration, etc. Okay, for the problems, what are the signs when materials undergo physical and chemical change due to the presence of oxygen? And what are the signs when materials undergo physical and chemical change due to the lack of oxygen? Materials are candle, apple, jar, glass, and bulb. Okay, again, you may use or change these materials based on what is available at home. Kung ano po yung meron doon sa bahay ng bata. Okay, so illustration, procedure, put the candle inside the transparent jar, light up the candle after a minute, observe the physical and chemical changes that happen on a candle when air is present. Now cover the lightened candle with a glass and observe what happened to the candle when covering it with glass. For setup B, you have to slice the apple into halves, expose the first half the apple into the air for a few minutes, and soak the other half into the bowl of water. So these two activities covers the different changes that materials undergo due to the lack or presence of oxygen. Okay, so for the data gathered, they need to fill out this table and answer the question. The changes oxygen is present, lighted candle uncovered, sliced apple exposed to air. Then guide questions. What physical changes took place to uncover the candle? What chemical changes took place to uncover the candle? What happened when you put a cover to the lighted candle? What did you observe to the sliced apple exposed to the air? Again, these are those questions that can only be answered through observation. So they need to conduct this activity hands-on. Now, for the conclusion, we have setup A. I therefore conclude that the lighted candle blank, and setup B. I therefore conclude that an apple exposed to oxygen blank. Now, application, you may use a situational application just like this, or yung katulad nung sa una ko pong ginawa. Now, Aling Marta is a potato fries vendor. One day, she asked her daughter to help her peel the potatoes. It took her an hour to finish the task. What will happen to the peeled potato exposed to air after an hour? Now, next is Mang Jose puts iron grills in their windows. He was not able to paint the window grills because it rained. After a week, he noticed some brown spot on the grills. What caused the window grills to tarnish? Okay. Now, for the last competency, this is what I usually does or yung usual ko nang pinapagawa sa bata every quarter for 5 years now. Okay. Now, at the end of the quarter, I ask them to come up with this recycled materials. So they need to design a product out of a local or recyclable solid and or liquid materials in making into a new and useful product. So these are the outputs of my pupils last year. And whenever they do or create their products, I ask them to come up with this one, yung paper wherein they will be making a paper on the steps in designing the products out of recyclable materials, composed of the product objectives, the title of the product, the materials needed, the illustration, the time needed to finish the product, the procedure, the result and the discussion, the summary and conclusion, and the recommendation. Why? Because they are doing this for a reason. The product that they need to do should be useful. Yung dapat nagagamit nila kasi that is the main reason why they are recycling the product. So, basic lang naman siya. Then, I use these rubrics to evaluate the product that they made. Okay, so this is the sample write-ups ng project that one of my pupils come up. So, ang ginawa niya is yung CD light test lamp, yung pinakita ko rin po kanina. This one. Okay. So, Sir Ian,
Yes, sir. Hello.
may question po ba?
Oh. Meron po tayong question, sir, about po sa kanina po nabanggit po ninyo, no? Ang tanong po
Opo.
dito, is prediction is the same as hypothesis po?
Mm. Ang hypothesizing kasi, sir, I think hindi siya masyadong ina-apply sa elementary po. Opo. Mas
Okay.
focus lang po doon sa basic process skills po.
Yes po. Thank you, sir, for answering that question. So far, yun lang po naman yung tanong na meron tayo ngayon. So if you have any questions po, keep it coming. And thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. So, thank you po.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Okay na, sir.
Ayun. Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Neil, Sir Neil Agda, for that very meaningful session. I think no, marami po tayong nakuha na pwede po natin talaga na gawin, even po sa bahay po ng ating mga estudyante, na pwede natin ipagawa sa kanila mga activities. And, sige po, if you have any questions, yan, sa ating pong speaker sa oras pong ito, pwede po nating i-chat sa ating chat box, no? Any questions or appreciation po, no? Sa ating resource speaker for this morning. Ayan. Sir, meron po tayong sa chat box. Salamat po. Nagpapasalamat po sila sa inyo, sir.
Welcome
Thank
po.
you so much. Sige po. Pwede nyo rin pong i-type sa ating chat box kung ano po yung natutunan or key takeaway po natin siguro, no, for this morning, no, sa ating pong session. Ayan. So, maraming salamat daw po, sir. Thank you so much. And nababasa po yun ni Sir Neil. And yun nga po, no, if you have any key takeaways na pwede po nating i-chat, ayan. Thank you po for the insight gained from Ma'am Evangeline Buwan. Ayan. So wala po munang aalis sa ating Google Meet, no? Dahil meron po tayong class picture. Ayan. No, meron po tayong photo op maya-maya lamang po. Thank you, Sir Neil, for a clear and meaningful presentation from Ma'am Zenaida Pangilinan. Yan. Wow. Sige po. Keep your chats coming in our chat box. Ayan. Alright. Sige po, habang naghihintay pa tayo at habang nag-chat pa yung iba, let me allow me, no, to present this